I can only see you, so. We have a few people in the waiting room. Okay. So it's 10 o'clock. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Bach. I'm one of the immigration coordinators here at OIA, and I'm here with my colleague, Sarah. We're going to be talking to you today about OPT. We're just going to wait a few more minutes just to allow other students come in. So just 2-3 minutes and we can go ahead and start. Okay, I think we can go ahead and start. Yeah, I think we have a good number. Okay. So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Jennifer Bach, and I'm one of the immigration coordinators here at OIA. I'm here with my colleague, Sarah, today, and we're going to be talking about OPT today. So if you have questions as we go on in the course of this presentation, you can put them in the chat. And Sarah can answer those questions, and then we can take more questions at the end of the workshop. Okay, so we're going to start with the definition of OPT. So what is OPT? Okay. So OPT is defined as optional practical training, and it is defined as temporary employment for practical training directly related to a student's major area of study. So whatever job you get while an OPT must be related to your major area of study. So the types of OPT, we have several of them here. We have pre-completion OPT, we have post-completion OPT, we have STEM extension, and we have CAPGAP extension. For today, we're going to be focusing on post-completion OPT. So, who is eligible for post-completion OPT? So first, you must be in lawful F1 status. You must have been enrolled full-time for 1 academic year, meaning 2 semesters, and you must be present physically within the US whenever you apply for OPT. Even if you're going to be applying online, you must be physically present within the country to apply. So more on who is eligible for post-completion OPT. You must not have been previously authorized for 12 months of OPT at the current or higher degree level. And you must not have had 12 months of full-time CPT at your current degree level. So for the second option, for students who have applied for OPT, we always check that. So we haven't really had any students who've, had 12 months of full-time CPT, because we check on those whenever you apply for CPT. So the rules and regulations, like I said, whatever work you get during OPT must be directly related to your major area of study. There are times that students will have a major and a minor, and they're having a hard time finding a job related to the major. They may want to find a job related to the minor. You're not able to do that. Whatever work you get must be related to your major. If you have 2 majors, either one would suffice. So your work must be at least 20 hours per week for OPT, 20 hours per week is considered full-time employment. You can be paid, unpaid, or volunteer. Volunteering is also considered employment. And so if you choose to volunteer, wherever you volunteer, whatever you do must be related to your major area of study. And also you can work with multiple employers while on OPT, as many as you can, as long as your job is related to your major area of study. So we have more on the rules and regulations here. OPT is for 12 months. So it's a 12 months work authorization per degree level for students in the STEM field, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math majors. They may be eligible for a 24-month extension. This is determined by your zip code. So if you have questions about that, you can always check with an immigration coordinator, and we can tell you for sure if you would be eligible for that. So students may remain in the US and maintain status while your OPT application is pending. So for the most part, we would have students ask, if I'm out of my 60-day grace period and my OPT is pending, can I stay in the US and wait? Yes. So as long as your application is pending with USCIS, it's legal, it's totally fine to remain in the US and wait while they adjudicate your application. And notice that you cannot start working until you're approved by USCIS and have your EAD. And you can only work within the dates that are listed in your card. Your card is going to have a start date and an end date, and you can only work within these dates. So more on the rules and regulations here. You cannot exceed 90 days of unemployment during OPT. Once you're approved, your 90 days of unemployment starts to count from the start date on your EAD. Once you're approved, you would get an email from SCVP to create your portal. The portal is going to give you information regarding your unemployment. So there's going to be a counter there that you can always check and see how many days of unemployment you have accrued. If you decide to return home and not to participate in OPT, you have to let us know so we can terminate your record. Because if you depart without letting us know, those unemployment days are going to accrue. And if it's more than 90 days, that's going to be a negative impact on your record. So you have to let us know if you choose to go back home so we can complete your record so you can have a clean record. So the application process, this is a step 1. So you'd have to complete required documents. So the step 1 is this. So students may apply up to 90 days before their anticipated program end date and up to 60 days after their program end date. So for this semester, the earliest you can apply would be September 19th. So 90 days before commencement. And if you choose to apply after commencement, you have to do that within 60 days after. USCIS must receive your application before or by the 60th day. Otherwise, your application is going to be invalid and you're going to be denied. So these are the dates for autumn, which is September 19th. The latest is going to be Feb 16th of 2023. So more on the application process here. We have an electronic form, which is pretty easy. All you have to do is complete it. Once you complete it, it's going to be routed to your academic advisor. You'd have to provide their information there whenever you complete it. It's going to be routed to them and they can approve it. Once they approve it, that form is routed to us and then we can process that. Once your I-20 is processed, we recommend that you schedule an appointment to meet with a coordinator so we can review your documents just to make sure that the information you have provided on there are all correct. So this is a sample of the e-form. The information on here is going to be what you're going to see on the e-form. It's just going to be basic information, but the most important thing here would be your requested start date. So whatever requested start date you choose has to be within your 60-day grace period. So if you're going to be graduating, say, autumn commencement on December 18th, your earliest start date is going to be the 19th. And you can pick any date as long as it's within your 60-day grace period. Okay, so more on requesting a start date. So the recommended start date must be after your official program end date, which is usually commencement, and no later than the end of your 60-day grace period. The latest date you can choose is that 60th day. And we will check whenever you apply. If there are issues with that, we will email you to provide us with an alternative date. Okay, start date options. So for regular commencement, the end date, December 18th, your possible start dates are going to be December 19th through Feb 16th of 20. December 19th, 2022 through Feb 16th of 2023. So once you choose a date, you cannot change it. So once we put it in the system and we issue that I-20, you're going to be stuck with it. So you have to be certain of the date that you want before you apply with us. So more information here on the program end date. So for an undergrad student, your end date is going to be commencement. But for grad students who've completed all of their coursework, they have more flexibility. So a grad student can choose to use either commencement as their end date, the end of semester, or official defense date. If you choose the third option, we require additional information and documentation from your advisor, just because this is not really on the calendar, so we need documentation to that effect. For students who hold like a GA or GRA position, if you complete your program before the program end date, once we shorten your program end date, you will not be eligible for any benefits after the date that we put on your I-20. So you have to be sure and be mindful of this. So application process, step 1. So students will receive an email to download their OPT endorsed I-20 once it's been processed. So an electronic copy of the I-20 is going to be issued to you, and you'd have to download it. So we have a disclaimer here. It's a long one. I'm just going to read through it. You are responsible for preparing the form I-765 and the documentation required to apply for OPT. The information presented to you is subject to change and is not legal advice. We recommend that you seek legal counsel if you require additional guidance regarding your application. The instructions to complete Form I-765 can be found on the USCIS website. Please note that the formatting of our template in this presentation may differ from the current Form I-765 available on USCIS website. So if recent changes have been made, please visit USCIS website for more updated information about the form. Okay. So online filing for the I-765. So students applying for F1 OPT may now file their I-765 online. Almost all students have chosen this option because it's easier. It saves you time, it saves you money, and you're able to just access your application anytime you want. So it's important to note that please do not apply for OPT with USCIS until you have received the OPT endorsed I-20 from OIA. We've had several students who do this. If you do this, you would spend $410 and your application will be denied. So make sure you have that OPT endorsed I-20 from us before you file your application. It's a very important document. Okay. So whenever you create your online application, you're going to see a screen like this, and this is how the form looks exactly. So you're going to pick right there, application for employment authorization. You're going to check right there, and you're going to check C3B. You're going to check start form. It's going to ask you what your eligibility category is. It's going to be C3B. That is the category for OPT. You're going to check next. It's going to ask what your reason for applying. It's going to be initial permission to accept employment. And the next question is, have you previously filed I-765? It's going to be a no. You would only check yes if you've had OPT previously in the past, probably at a lower degree level, or work authorization granted by USCIS, not CPT. This applies only if you've applied with USCIS for a benefit and were issued an EAD card. That's when you would check yes. Otherwise, you would have to check no. So is someone assisting you with completing this application? It's going to be a no. So this is just basic information, your current legal name, you will put that there. Have you used any other names since birth? If you have, you would have to put that there. You would check yes, but otherwise you'd have to check no. For most students, they check no. So how may we contact you? You put your number there. So the daytime number and your mobile number can be the same. It doesn't matter as long as the USCIS can reach you on that number. And then you put your email address. That could be a personal email address, and that could be an OSU email. It doesn't matter as long as it's an active email address. Oopsie, sorry. I'm trying to take this stuff out. Okay, you can see that. Okay. So if your mailing address, I'm unable to read that, the top right there. I'm sorry, I'm having Sarah, I have a question. I'm trying to take this stuff at the top out of my screen, but I'm not able to.
We don't see anything. We just see the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay, because I can't see it. I can't see that if you're
The
mailing.
Zoom box?
If your mailing address, I can't see that part of it.
If it's the Zoom box, you can usually drag it to the side.
Oh, okay, let me see. Oh, okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. So if your mailing address is the same as your physical address, and your address will be valid for at least 3 to 4 months after you submit your OPT application to USCIS, you'd have to put your information there. So only put your address in there if you're going to be at that address for 3 to 4 months, and you can receive your mail there, because that's where your receipt notice is going to be sent to, and your EAD is going to be sent there. Do not use PO box address or on-campus addresses as your mailing address. Your physical address must match what we have in CVIS for you. Okay, so that's the sample there, just your address, basic information. Is your current address the same as your physical address? You just check yes. So if your mailing address will not be valid for at least 3 to 4 months, you may list a friend or family member's address instead. You'd have to make sure you put their name in the care of name box right there. You put their name in there. Do not use PO box addresses or on-campus addresses as your mailing address. Your physical address, again, must match what we have in CVIS. So if you're going to use a family member's address, you put their name there, you put their address there. And notice that the family member or the friend must not be located in Ohio. It could be anywhere, as long as they're in the US, they have a valid address. Okay. So that name's in there. Is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? You're going to check no. And whenever you check no, it's going to populate another field where you would have to provide your own address in there. Okay. So it's basic questions about you. What's your gender? You check whatever applies to you. What's your marital status? You check whatever applies to you. More information about you. It's going to have questions about your city, town, village of birth. You put that information there, your country of birth, your date of birth, and then next. Your country of citizenship. If you have dual citizenship, you'd have to include both or put that there. And then what is your form I-94? You put that there. So all F1 students, you should have an I-94. If you don't have it, you can always get it from the CBP website. It's right there. That's HTTP right there. So put your information, your passport information, your number. It's going to populate your I-94. You can always print it out. Okay, so more questions here. It's going to have questions about when you last arrived in the US. You have to make sure whatever information that you provide on here is correct. The date of arrival, the place of arrival, your status at the time that you came in, it's going to be F for the most part. Your passport number, that should be an accurate information. What is your travel document number? You wouldn't have that because that's not applicable to you. What is the expiration date of your passport? It's going to be on there. And notice that your passport must be valid 6 months into the future. So what country issued your passport? It's going to be your country of citizenship. Okay. Okay. So your current immigration status, it's going to be F. What is your CVS ID that you can find on your I-20? At the top left corner of your form I-20, you're going to have that information there. So if you have not previously applied for OPT, you will not have an A number. So you're going to check, I do not have one. But if you previously applied for OPT in the past, at a lower degree level, you will have an A number and you must include that number there. If you were on a different visa status, probably H, or, you know, and you apply for USCIS and you were approved the benefit, you will have an A number and you would have to include it there on the form. So what is your USCIS online account number? You wouldn't have one. So it's going to be, I do not have one. Okay. So if you previously applied for OPT, you're going to enter your A number. It's going to be on the card. It's known as the USCIS number. It can be found on your card. And you put that information there. And then what is your USCIS online account number? You're going to check, I do not have. It's going to be that checkbox right there. Okay. So this has to do with Social Security. So if the Social Security has not issued you an SSN, check the following boxes. Note that this is not a replacement card. Only check no if you've never been issued a Social Security card. So if you've been issued a Social Security card in the past, it's valid. I mean, your number is valid for life, so you wouldn't have to reapply for one even if it's lost. So has the Social Security issued you a card? You check no. Do you want one? You check yes. And then you'd have to agree to disclose all of this information, which is going to be information about your parents. You provide their names, your father's name and your mother's name, and that's the information that they need. And they will process that Social Security card for you as your OPT EAD is being processed. Okay. So if the Social Security has issued you a card, you'd have to check yes. You'd have to provide your number in there. And you check no, because you already have one for the third question. Okay. So the documents required for the application, they need a photo of you. Now it's online, so it's just going to be one photo you have to upload. You can always go to CVS. I think they do digital photos of you. And then you can always, they have on the website, they have a tool that you can use to make sure you have the right photo. And also the online form will not accept if the photo doesn't meet their standards. So if you put on glasses, it will not accept it. So it will checkmate the photo for you and help you with that. Okay. So more of the documents that are needed for this application, the I-94. So below is a paper I-94. This is the hard copy issued before 2013. For the most part, our students will have the one on the right, and you can always get that from the CBP website. It's easy to get. It's just put your information there and you can access it and print it out and upload it on there. So more on the documents that are needed for this application, they would need a government ID. So for the most part, you would use your passport. A copy of your passport must be valid for at least 6 months into the future. Make sure that the document is clear and all the security features on the passport are visible. For example, like what we see here, make sure both pages are there, because at the top of the page, there are security features on there. So make sure you have both pages clear. If the document is not clear, they will request for evidence, and that will delay your application, and you don't want that. So you put that there. For students who've had OPT in the past, you can put a copy of your EAD, but I mean, if it's expired, you wouldn't want to put that there. But for the most part, it's going to be your passport, a valid passport. So more on the documents that are needed. So post-completion CPT or OPT I-20. So for this part, if you've had CPT in the past at the current degree level, that's going to be a required document. The I-20 is going to be required. They only require CPT I-20s for that level for which you're applying for OPT, not previous degree levels. So you would put that CPT I-20 there. Okay, so this is the I-20. This is the main document in addition to your passport, and this is the OPT endorsed I-20. It has to be clear. It's got to be readable. You have to wet sign it by hand. So we're going to issue it electronically, but you'd have to print it out and you'd have to hand sign it and upload it. Okay, page 1. Before you upload it, make sure you hand sign it. We've had a couple of cases where students forgot to actually sign the document and they sent it that way and paid that $410 and the application is denied. So you don't want to do that. Okay. So additional information. So you may not need to make any clarifications, but you could include additional information if you've had previously issued CVCIDs, probably from high school, short stays, other schools in the US, or other degrees from Ohio State. So if you've had multiple CVCID numbers, you'd have to put them there. If you've had CPT at the current degree level, you need to put that information in the additional information section, just information about your CPT, whether it was full-time or part-time, the length, the dates, you'd have to put them there for additional information. So more on additional information here. So if you need to provide any additional information for any of your answers to the questions in this form, you'd have to enter it into the space below. I mean, the online form is pretty easy to use and it helps you, it really helps you understand everything clearly. So information about you, your immigration information, CVIS information, CVCID. So it really helps you check it out. And whenever you click those arrows there, it has like options that you can pick from, which is really cool. It explains everything on the online form. So more on additional information. So for instance, if you had CPT, you're going to pick evidence. You're going to pick previously authorized CPT. The next is going to still be previously authorized CPT. and then you put your CPS ID, the level at which you had CPT for. You're going to include a full-time CPT or full-time OPT, and also the dates. So this would apply in either case, whether CPT or OPT. More on additional information, the same thing, like I just explained, CPT or OPT. You have to list if it's part-time, the dates, your CPS ID, and all of that. Okay. So check your application before you submit. Before you submit your application, we highly recommend that you meet with an immigration coordinator to review your application for completeness and accuracy. We encourage you to provide as many responses as you can throughout the application to the best of your knowledge. Missing information can slow down the review process after you submit your application. Okay, so once you are done with all of that, it's going to bring you to this page. It's also going to tell you if there are any alerts or warnings on there, so that's good. You don't have to worry about signature on there. And also it's going to tell you if there are any issues with it before you proceed. Because once payment is made, the application is considered filed and receipt notice are issued right away. So you would get your receipt notice right away and you cannot cancel that. So we recommend that you schedule a virtual advising appointment before you pay, before you make that payment, and we can help you review your application just to make sure it's correct. So application process, step 2, you send your documents to USCIS. This is submitting your documents online. So the EAD card can take up to 3 months to process. USCIS indicates an average processing time of 90 days. It could be shorter. So for students who apply early, they get it pretty quickly. Notice that you cannot start working until you receive your EAD in the mail, and you can only work within the dates listed on the card. There are times that an employer will ask you if you can come in for training before your start date. That is a no-no, and that's going to be invalidation of your status, and you shouldn't do that. You can only do that on the start date of your OPT. So once you're approved, you're going to have access to your portal. You will only have access to the portal on the start date of your OPT, not before, on the start date or a few days after. So once you're approved, you'd have to update your SAVP portal. The portal is for reporting everything about yourself while on OPT. Once the portal is completed, we have a OIA reporting form that you have to always complete as well. Okay, so just gonna talk more about the SAVP portal here. So it's a tool for F1 students who are on OPT to update your address information, your contact information, your employer information, and for students in STEM, only your supervisor information. That's their name and email. Access is given to only students who are an approved OPT and STEM. You will not have access to this portal until your OPT is active, meaning that you're within the dates listed on your card. Sometimes a student's card gets approved, say they're supposed to start, say, December 19th, and they apply early, and they get their card, say, in November, and they want access to the portal right away. That's not going to happen until December 19th, which is your actual start date. Okay, more on the SAVP portal here. So you're going to receive an email from that do not reply SAVP email right there. Sometimes it will go to your spam or to your junk. You'd have to check there and see. So it contains a link and a guide to creating your portal. We recommend that you add that to your trusted sender list. If you don't receive the email, which happens all the time, you can contact us and we can initiate that process so you can get that email to register your portal. And as I said, you'd have to check your spam and your junk mail just to make sure it's not there. So you'd have to create a password. So that's the login link right there. If you log in with the wrong password at the 3rd attempt, it's going to log you out. If that happens, you can always contact us and we can unlock it on your behalf. Your portal will lock due to inactivity after 45 days. So while on OPT, if you report your employment and you don't go in there to check it and review information, if it's still for 45 days, it's going to lock you out. So we recommend going in there just to double check and make sure everything is fine with your account. But if it ever locks you out, you can always contact us and we can help you with that. So more information on the portal here. So students must report the following information during OPT. You must report the name of your employer. This is the company name and not your supervisor's name. You have to report the physical address of where you're working, your employment start date. You have to be mindful of that 90 days of unemployment because if you max it out, you're going to be out of status and you don't want that. There's going to be a counter in the portal that helps you keep track of those days. So you can always go in there and check if you're having trouble finding a job, just to, you know, have an idea of where you are and how many days you've accrued. So your employment information must be reported within 10 days of your employment. It's not 10 business days, it is 10 days, including weekends. So if you're working for a staffing agency or working remotely from home, you have to let us know because there are comments we have to put on that I-20 just to cover your bases. In case you're applying for benefits later in the future, you have that explanation on the record and on the I-20 that keeps you covered. So if any of this information changes, you must update it in your portal within 10 days. That's changing employment, ending employment. Do not delete previous employment information in your portal if you're changing jobs. All you have to do is just keep adding on there. If you're working with multiple employers, you have to put all of that information there, but do not delete, because once it's deleted, it's off the record. So just keep adding on there. So, and I previously mentioned this, so whatever job that you get during OPT must have a direct correlation between the job. There has to be a direct correlation between the job and your major. So it's your responsibility to explain on your portal, whenever you're reporting that employment, how the job that you're doing is related to your major area of study. That information is going to be saved and retained on our records. If it's not related, that's a status violation. And this is a sample of how you can report that information on your portal. That's just a sample. But I mean, that's your field of expertise. So you should be able to explain how it's related, how your job relates to your major, your area of study. Okay. So more on OPT reporting requirements here. So once you're done, the first thing you have to do is you're done with your portal. That's the first thing that takes preeminence over this OPT reporting form. And then you come to the OPT reporting form. You submit the form after your employment updates. You have to update your portal first, because we will, whatever information that we're gonna get on here, we would check on your portal first. So once OIA receives employment update, we will process a new employer updated I-20 for you, depending on however you want it. Could be electronically, or we can mail it to you, depending on your preference. If you're making updates to your current OPT employer already listed, please be advised that only updates to the name of the employer, the start, end date, or city of employment will generate a new I-20. So otherwise, we wouldn't generate a new I-20. So just significant changes. So if it's the same employer, nothing has changed, we wouldn't generate a new I-20. So more on reporting requirements. So it is of utmost importance that you keep yourself informed so you do not do anything that would violate your status. Make sure that you do everything right. If you have any questions, you can always ask, you know, we're here to help. Report to an immigration coordinator within 10 days. If your legal name changes, let us know. If there's a change in your mailing or residential address, make sure that you report that on your portal within 10 days. If there's a change in your employment, update your portal within 10 days and update our form as well, so we can issue you an I-20, so you have those updated documents just for the future. Traveling while in OPT. So it is okay to travel while you're in OPT, and you should have the following documents with you. An I-20 with a travel signature. While you're in OPT, the travel signature on page 2 is only valid for 6 months. So if you intend to travel, make sure that the travel signature on page 2 would be less than 6 months at the time you're coming back in. So at the time you're coming through the port of entry, it should be less than 6 months. If you need a new I-20, you can always request that and we can issue that to you. Make sure you have a valid passport. Make sure you have a valid F1 visa. Have your EAD if you're already an OPT, or your I-797 receipt. You should have your EAD if you're an OPT. The I-797 receipt would only apply if you're traveling while your application is still pending, and you haven't received that EAD yet. We always recommend that you have your job offer letter with you, because sometimes the CBP officers will ask for that. So what are your options after OPT? You have that STEM extension OPT, you have CapGap extension, you can transfer your record to another school, you can change your degree level, you can change your status to H-1B, you can adjust your status, or you can depart the US within 60 days of your OPT end date. So STEM extension OPT. For F1 students and OPT pursuing certain STEM degrees from US institutions of higher education, they can apply for an extension of OPT by 24 months. If you're in this and you choose, if you're in the STEM field and you want to apply for STEM, you must apply before your OPT ends. And their documents, it's a much more complex process. It's a much more thorough process. The documents that we would need before we can issue you that I-20, but you have to apply, and USCIS must receive your application before your OPT ends. So more on here for eligibility, the F1 student must be on a period of OPT, post-completion OPT, so you can apply 90 days before your OPT ends. You must hold a degree in a field of study indicated on your I-20, which qualifies as STEM eligible. According to the STEM designated list, we go by your zip code. We would check and just make sure that it's that it qualifies. You must have a job offer from an employer that is enrolled in E-Verify. You must demonstrate that the job is directly related to your STEM field. You have to prepare and sign the training plan. That's the form I-93, and you have to apply before your post-completion OPT expires. If you apply and your OPT ends, as long as that application is pending with USCIS, you can continue working for 180 days while the application is pending. So please refer to OIA's website and Study in the States for additional information on STEM OPT. It's a very different process from OPT, much more complex and thorough. So for CapGap extension, there was a new process introduced as of 2020, and this refers to a period when an F1 student status would end and their H-1B status would begin. So students are only eligible if their OPT ends April 1st and September 30th. So CapGap is an extended work authorization while you wait for your H-1B petition to be adjudicated and approved. So it allows you to continue working until September 30th. So if you have questions about this, you have to contact an immigration coordinator. But for this to even happen, your employer would have to first file that H-1B application on your behalf. Okay, so if you have any questions at all, we have advising hours, Mondays through Fridays, virtual appointments only. That's a link to schedule an appointment. You can always reach us by email, and also that's our phone number.
And we do offer in-person appointments now on Wednesdays as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's it. So any questions? That was a long one.
Hi there, can I start with questions?
Yes.
Okay, there's a couple of dates that I get, they kind of overlap, so I was confused about that. So I can only apply 90 days before the commencement, right? And then we
Yes.
define a start date on the document.
That's right. Are you a grad student?
Yeah, I'm a grad student.
Okay, so grad students have more flexibility. You can use commencement, you can use your defense date, you can use end of semester. Yeah, so you have a variety of options for you. Yeah.
Okay. And kind of how long does it take to process to obtain the work authorization? Because if it's 90 days, I'm just thinking like, even if I apply earlier, I'll get the document by the end of semester. Can that start date be before that?
So it depends on the end date that you choose. So if you choose, say, defense, for instance, for grad students who choose that defense date option, they have a job and they want to start right away. Sometimes they pick a date that's way earlier in the semester. That way they're able to start, quickly. Yeah. So I don't think I'm understanding your question.
So just in that case, that's actually my case. So I want to defend earlier, and I would like to have start like right away after the defense date or something like that.
Okay.
So I could apply 90 days before the defense date.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And the start date must be after the defense date, correct?
That is right. Yes.
How long does it take to receive the work authorization? So like within those 90 days, I should receive, or should I plan kind of buffer time between the defense and that start date?
So if you apply early, the average processing time is 90 days. But
Okay.
if you apply really early, it could be way shorter than that. We've seen applications get approved in 30 days, 45 days. It all depends on who's processing it. So if you pick a defense date and you want to use, say, for instance, October 30th as your defense date, you can start the day after. You can use the day after as your start date for OPT. And if your application is processed pretty quickly, you will get that date that you have requested.
Perfect. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
So the earliest that we can apply for EAD is September 19th, as I saw from your slide. So can I start applying for the I-20 right away?
Yes, so you can complete the form, but we wouldn't process it until September 9th, September 19th. So you can go ahead and complete the e-form. It's an e-form. And then we would start the process of issuing those I-20s September 19th.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have one question. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So let's say if I start, if my start date for the job is, let's say, January 5, and can I still choose to apply for OPT on September 19? Is that still possible?
Yes, it is possible. Yes. If you apply that way, you will get, if you apply early, you will get the date you requested. So yes.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I'm asking the same question again. Another question. So I was on a OPT after my master's, so I have a lower level degree from OSU, but I did not use the entire period. I just used 3 months of it, and then I came back and started my PhD. So I think there was a section in the form that if you have to put additional information. So do you put that for the 1 year period, or is just for the time you have been on OPT?
You're going to put the entire period, the
entire
entire dates, because you were approved for 12 months, but you chose to use 3 months. So you'd have to put all of that information on there. And also you would need to upload a copy of your previously issued EAD as well. Okay, thank you. Another question. So I'm a GRA right now. So I have an active appointment, I think, until the end of December. So, and if I put, let's say, September 19th,
I start my application, and if I get the EAD before, is that okay if there's a sort of overlap between the start date of the new job and the GRA appointment?
Yes, it's fine, as long as this is gonna be determined by, you want to use commencement as your end date, so you can continue your GRA, right? Getting those benefits, right?
Yep.
Yes, so yeah, that's fine. That's gonna be fine. It doesn't matter. Because your OPT is gonna start after your program ends anyway.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
And I just want to point out a quick question that Jimin Kim had. I've been chatting with them separately, but one of the things that students might get confused about if their OPT endorsed I-20 isn't getting approved is when you fill out that application, you're gonna need to have your like second approver section, which is usually your advisor. Sometimes you can submit it and it'll look like it's complete on your end. And if it's taking a while, usually we can approve it within 3 to 5 business days. But if it's longer than that, it's usually because your advisor or whoever it was sent to hasn't completed their section. So it won't show up in our records that it's complete until we have that second approver section. So I would, if it's taking longer than a week, I would reach out first to your advisor or whoever was supposed to fill out that second part of the application before you try to contact us, because usually it won't show up that it's completed for us until that advisor has filled out their section as well.
A question regarding the address. If I'm moving from another city to work, so we can send. I got that part. You can send to a house of a friend or something. But my physical address eventually will move as well. Not by the time of the application, but eventually by the start date, it probably will be a different one. Can we just update that afterwards? Like, do we apply with the physical, the regular physical address, and then as soon as you move, you update that?
In that case, you would update it on your portal. This is gonna be after you graduate, right?
Yeah. I mean, after the defense.
After the defense and after, is this gonna be after your OPT is approved or during the OPT process?
It should be after the OPT.
After it approved, okay. In that case, you would update it on your portal. It's pretty easy.
Okay, sounds good.
Mhm. Any more questions?
I have another one if nobody's jumping in.
Okay.
So it's similar with the previous one that somebody did. Like, if I start just after defense and I have a GRA position, when I stop to have the GRA benefits, is after its issue or after the defense, or is like as soon as I apply?
It's gonna be on the defense date. So that if you provide us with your defense date, we're gonna use that defense date as your program end date. So on that date, after that date, no benefit, you cannot have any kind of GRA or GTA benefits.
There's something, so there's the defense and there's some publication requirements that sometimes will take longer. Which one is considered like the end of my program?
It's a defense date, and that's why we need a letter from your advisor, because it's significant. Usually students who choose that option, it's like an odd date in the semester. It's totally different from everyone else. So we need additional documentation with that date to be able to process that I-20.
Perfect, thank you.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
So I think you mentioned at some point we can do unpaid volunteer work. Would it be possible to say stay in your department, help with be an assistant, research assistant to any of the labs, and still have Ohio State as your employer, although it's unpaid?
Yes. Most students in the past have done that. So as long as what you're doing is related to your major, you can go ahead and do that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But you'd have to report that on your portal. as employment.
I see. All right, thanks.
You will.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I have a small question. So I also applied for OPT in master. So we have to upload the OPT I-20. So what's that I-20 specific for? Because I only found the endorsed I-20 from the previous OPT.
So for you, you would put that I-20 or that information in the additional information section.
So we have to upload the old I-20 too, right?
Yes, you would have to
So
upload it.
which one we should upload it? Yeah.
So you would have to upload that previous OPT I-20 and also the EAD as well. But
Okay.
you would need, most importantly, you need that OPT endorsed I-20 that we would issue to you. That's more important than any other I-20.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Okay, so I have another question. So that's kind of like a very special case because previous I tried to apply for OPT, but I found out it didn't work, so I canceled. So I have previous endorsed OPT and we retracted. And
Okay. Were you ever approved? Was it approved or you canceled it because it was approved?
I got endorsed OPT and I contact to the OIA, so we have to postpone. So they cancel the process and they give me a new I-20. So and then I will going to apply for OPT. So anything I should be notified what I should be care of.
So this was at the master's level, right?
No, it's in a PhD because I trying to apply the OPT on August, but it didn't work. So we postpone our graduation.
Oh,
to
okay.
November.
So that was canceled and now you want to apply in the fall, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, then
But-
that should be fine as long as you haven't had OPT approved at this degree level. That should be.
Okay. So how do I do about the previous endorsed OPT, the I-20? So
As long as it wasn't approved by
okay.
USCIS, it's not going to be a valid document. But if it was approved, then you would need an I-20. But if
Okay.
it was canceled, as you said, by OIA, never processed by USCIS, you wouldn't need that I-20.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hey,
I was looking at the application for the I-20, and there was a drop down which asked for when I would be completing my degree.
Mhm.
I don't see the fall 2022 yet.
Oh, probably because it's not active yet.
Okay,
Yes, probably we're holding back on that. So yeah, but it's going to be active soon. And you would have that option.
got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we get a copy of these slides?
Yes, it's going to be on our website.
Okay.
Yes, with the presentation. I forgot to mention that. Okay.
Jennifer, just a quick question to clarify. If someone's doing the end of semester option, it's still 90 days from like the original program end date, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Any more questions or concerns about the process? Documents needed, travel? No more questions?
I have one question. My F visa, it's issued for the period of the PhD, so it's about 4 years and a half or something. I don't remember exactly, which I will graduate earlier than that.
Mhm,
But then while OPT, that visa will expire.
mhm.
If I want to travel, I need to go out of the country, issue a new visa and return. How does that work?
So you can do that. We've had students who do that while on OPT. That's fine. Just make sure you have your employment letter, proof that you're employed full time, the I-20, valid passport, and then you should be able to apply for a renewal of that visa.
Okay, but I need to apply and have to obtain the visa, right?
Yes, that's if you choose to travel.
Yeah,
But
okay.
for students who do not want to travel, they can remain here as long as they maintain status.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if the visa is expired.
Okay. Well, I'm just considering that because once you apply, you need to be out abroad to apply, right? And there's some time to issue. So if I travel abroad, I need to stay as long as I receive.
Exactly, because you can't enter without the visa.
Yeah,
anyways.
okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions today? Okay, seems not. All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your time. Bye.
I think that went well. It's always
Okay.
one.
Yeah, 11, so.
Um,
I tend to speak very fast. I try to be as slow as.
same, I did.
possible.
Yeah, I had some questions and like some people were direct messaging me, but
Okay,
yeah, one student was just had said he had submitted his OPT August 19th. And was like, where
okay.
is it? It hasn't been approved. And I was like, oh, like it looks like your just advisor hasn't done their section of it yet. So
August 19th.
yeah, I was like, how are you just now checking up on it?
Yeah,
And then I had another student asking about, I asked Amanda about it in the middle of the meeting because I was confused, but day one CPT,
oh, I wouldn't even know anything about
which
that.
is like a program, I guess. Amanda said we do it on case by case basis, but I guess it's like where you can immediately start your CPT if you're a transfer, but I don't know.
For J1, J1,
I think no, he's F1. I think
okay,
I was confused on why he's in the OPT, but I told him about the CPT workshop and I said,
yeah,
we don't typically do day one CPT, but it's a case by case basis. So
yeah.
you should just,
Except he's a transfer, he's a transfer student, so. he
Yeah.
would be perfect
so
for
I
that.
don't know. I was confused why he was asking about that in a OPT, but
Yeah, just answers, I guess. Okay,
all right.
alrighty, take care.
Bye.
Bye, bye-bye.